lost this game more than the Gophers won this game. The Gophers needed a holding penalty that took South Dakota State touchdown back to start the second half. South Dakota State also fumbled. They recovered it, but it ended up being a pick six on that play. And then a fumble on a terrible, terrible read option play where the quarterback doesn't know to give it to the running back or not. They fumble at their own 34-yard line late in the fourth quarter, and the Gophers capitalize by going about 25 yards into the end zone. This, my friends, was a free shipping UPS delivered gift from the football gods, and you almost felt like the referees were almost a little biased towards the Gophers because they probably were like, I mean, this can't happen. We cannot let this kind of thing happen. And please don't sit here and defend the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. Don't tell me they're number 3 in the FCS. There's a reason why the Gophers in the Big Ten, and there is a reason why South Dakota State is in the FCS. This is year 3 of PJ Fleck. There is no room for winning by 7 to South Dakota State. There should not be, it shouldn't be even 30 points close if you are in year 3 with the school against a Division I AA team. The Gophers were outrushed in this game 175 to 131. The Gophers were outpassed by 192 to 176, and they had more first downs than the Gophers. Okay? Take it or leave it. I'm taking this away from this game. This makes me real hesitant about this season. This makes me take about 2 steps back and say, okay, this team is not ready to compete for a Big Ten West title. Once again, I know it was one game. I know football is about matchups. But if you're in year 3, I'm going to continue to say, year 1, okay, it's still inexcusable because it's a Division I AA team. Year 3, you have your recruits. You talk about this big bad offensive line that you got outrushed by South Dakota State. You talk about new energy. You talk about your seniors on defense and how this is the best team that the Gophers have had thus far. You barely winning against South Dakota State does not sit well with me, the Gopher fans, and the entire state of Minnesota. So as they prepare for Fresno State, who is not a rollover team, they play USC this weekend, you got to think to yourself, what's it going to be like this weekend? Because if it's any indication, this week's game, of what this season's going to look like, the Gophers will win about 4 games if they're lucky, and they have a very favorable schedule in the Big Ten. They don't play Ohio State. They don't play Michigan. They don't play Michigan State. They've got about 3 or 4 tough games in Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa, and that's probably about it. Those are the 3 games that stick out to you that you think, okay, the Gophers can't win. So this is, if there's any season for PJ Fleck to make a name for itself and to win 9 games, which hasn't been done since Tracy Claeys a couple of years ago, which got inexcusably fired for this guy, PJ Fleck, it is a disappointment. It is a disappointment. And just watching yesterday, it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing to watch. As a Minnesota Golden Gopher fan, to see them struggle against South Dakota State, it's embarrassing. And it's a fraudulent act as well, as we hear in the offseason how much better this team is and how this... And the thing that really annoyed me the most was the offensive line talk. Don't sit and tell me how good the offensive line is, how big they are, how strong they are, and they get outmanned on the line of scrimmage by a Division I AA school. Once again, the Gopher biased fans that are going to sit and say, oh, they were number 3 in the FCS. Come on. Really? Really? This is the Big Ten team. You schedule teams like South Dakota State to get your confidence up, to get the morale up, to win by 30 points. That's why you schedule them. You don't. What is this? Is this a quad 1 win? Are we looking at that? Or is South Dakota State a quad 1 win? I mean, come on now. You schedule these types of teams to get out to a quick start, to go beat them by 30 points, to get your team off to the right start, to get momentum going into week 2, and it didn't happen. If anything, it hurt the morale of this Gopher team, and if anything, it may have even slowed down any type of momentum they had going into this season. I know it's one game. We'll see how they do against Fresno State, but for right now, I am taking 2 steps back from this Gopher team and saying, whoa. They are a long, long way for competing for a Big Ten West title. On that note, we've got some good news here. Next week, we've got finally the Vikings and Atlanta Falcons, the Vikings home opener. Very excited. It's been a long off season. I will try and get an Atlanta Falcons journalist as I was doing last year. I tried to get the opposing journalist or media member just so we can get a feel for the team that the Vikings are playing. So I'll try to land someone to get on the show this week. We've got some fun things coming up here. We've got Hicks Picks. If you guys were late to Hicks Picks, Michael Hickman, one of my best friends, is like, if you ever watch College Game Day, he is the equivalent to Bear, who makes the picks. I don't know if you watch College Game Day, but if you do, the producer's name is Bear, and he'll do picks with the squad. That's basically my man Mike Hickman. He's going to come on here. He's going to make Hicks Picks, and I'll pick my NFL picks, and that should be a good time. Also, we'll keep an eye on the Twins as they continuing on, trying to secure this AL Central, which won't be easy. They've got Detroit for the next few games here, but then they go to Boston, and then they're going to play Cleveland, so we will keep an eye on the Twins. It's really starting to heat up here as of late. You got the Vikings just about to start. You've got the Gophers, who just started, and also the Minnesota Twins, who continue to fight for that AL Central. Big thanks to my producer, Brandon Morton, Matt Augusta, Jim Suhan, and Ryan Spadola for joining the show today. As always, we are on TalkNorth.com, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for my loyal listeners. You guys continue to make me work even harder, and we'll talk to you guys next Sunday.